Imagine this. You wake up in London. You're 1350. You're a woman with no property, no voting rights, and only a handful of jobs you're allowed to do. The rent's due, bread prices just went up, and the world isn't waiting for you to catch up. But here's the twist. There was one profession that could flip your life from barely surviving to owning property, lending money, even running your own business. And it's probably not what you think. In the next 2 minutes, we'll travel back to medieval streets, uncover the real economics behind women's choices, and meet one remarkable businesswoman who played the game better than most men of her time. Because when you understand the rules of the past, you might just see your own gig economy today in a whole new light. 1. The harsh economic rules for medieval women. In medieval Europe, the rules weren't just unfair, they were a cage. If you were born a woman, the law said you couldn't own land, inherit a family business, or join most skilled trades. The best you could hope for was working in someone else's kitchen, stitching in a cramped workshop, or selling vegetables on a cold street corner. And here's the reality check. Those jobs barely paid enough to keep a roof over your head. A laundress might earn enough for bread and ale, but not for rent. A seamstress could spend a week sewing and still owe money for thread. Meanwhile, there was one profession, frowned upon by the church, but quietly tolerated by city officials, that could earn you 3, even 5 times as much. That's when survival turned into strategy. Take a woman in Paris around 1350. With the right clients, she could save enough to rent a small room and eventually sublet it to traveling merchants. It wasn't just a job. It was a foothold into the economy, a ladder you could climb when no other ladders were built for you. When every door is locked, sometimes the smartest move is to find the one window that's still open, even if the world disapproves of how you get through it. And no one understood how to climb that window ledge better than Agnes de Berry, a woman who turned a single profession into an empire, hidden in plain sight. 2. Case study. Agnes de Berry, the businesswoman in disguise. Agnes de Berry didn't just survive medieval London, she played it like a master. On paper, she ran what the city politely called a licensed house. In reality, it was more like a medieval hospitality business, with food, drink, music, and a safe bed for merchants passing through. Agnes bought property when women weren't even supposed to sign contracts. She loaned money to tradesmen, some of whom probably looked down on her profession, all while collecting interest from them. She hired staff, kept accounts, and built a reputation that kept her rooms full year-round. Her secret? She didn't see herself as just selling one service. She built an experience, a warm meal, a clean bed, a little entertainment, and suddenly, she wasn't competing on price. She was selling comfort in a rough, unpredictable world. When you can't change the rules, change the game. Agnes didn't wait for permission to be a businesswoman. She built a business in the only way the law allowed, and then expanded far beyond it. But even a woman as resourceful as Agnes knew, no one thrives alone. That's where the real magic of medieval survival comes in. 3. Survival networks and the medieval gig economy. In a time when women had so few legal rights, community became a shield. Sex workers often formed tight networks, sharing clients, pooling money to hire protection, or taking turns caring for each other's children. Think of it as a 14th century co-working space, except the stakes were survival. They knew that together, they could negotiate better prices, avoid dangerous customers, and keep each other safe. It wasn't just friendship, it was strategy. And just like today's gig workers, they built systems to make an unstable job just a little more predictable. The biggest mistake people make when looking back is to see these women only as victims. The truth is, they were also negotiators, entrepreneurs, and allies in a world that didn't want them to be any of those things. In any economy, medieval or modern, your network is your lifeline. Go alone, and you might move fast. Go together, and you'll last. So, if you woke up in London, 1350, with no property and no rights, would you fight the system head on? Or would you find a way to win from the inside? Because sometimes the smartest path to freedom isn't breaking the rules, it's mastering them. If you love stories that uncover the hidden rules of history and the timeless lessons they still teach us today, hit subscribe and join me for the next journey back in time. Trust me, you won't want to miss where we're going next.